So guys, I had to pay a whole $1, okay, a whole 4 quarters in order to read this article. For the love of God, please like this video, subscribe, comment, anything that helps the algorithm so I can get my money back. Crazy, insane.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so we're going to take a look at what NBA players have to say about Victor Wembanyama. Now, we've been doing this plenty of times before, but we have not seen this. So I'm pretty sure this is just an annual thing with The Athletic, right? So they did an anonymous NBA player poll for 2024. As you can see here, they go over LeBron or Jordan as the GOAT, most overrated, finals favorite, all that good stuff. And what we're going to be looking at in particular is something regarding Victor Wembanyama. In particular, we're talking about Defensive Player of the Year. That's been a driving force of discourse for a minute now. Like there's people on both ends of the spectrum here. And honestly, in my opinion, there's really only one valid answer, to be real with you. So let's go ahead and go down to that. Now, before we do, we also have MVP. So we can see here, Nikola Jokic, they went ahead and voted for him over SGA. Slight margin, all right, no, slight margin. Crazy that Luka Doncic only got 10%, but hey, you know, it is what it is. You know, you can only vote for one, right? So Nikola Jokic, SGA, and then Luka Doncic, and I think that most people would agree with that. I would even say that reporters and talking heads would agree with this as well. Like most people are gonna go with Jokic. I mean, at least unless you're ESPN and you're really weird. I don't know what's going on with them. Some people have brought up like xenophobia as far as like their voting strategy. I have no clue. It is some weird stuff when they don't include Doncic and Jokic in the conversation for like great players. It's really strange. I hate that they do that. But anyways, moving on. Now we're going to go to Defensive Player of the Year. Who's the best defender? Okay. Who is the best defender in the NBA? Okay. That would mean who's the Defensive Player of the Year, right? Like I would assume that's what that means. Like who's the best defender in the NBA? Who should get the best? Who is the best defender this year? Okay. Most players overwhelmingly chose Victor Wembanyama. Not only did they overwhelmingly choose Victor Wembanyama with 15.2%, it was by a crazy margin between him and Rudy Gobert. Only 6% voted for Rudy. And with all of these different players on the ballot, I mean, we got Giannis was voted for, Patrick Beverley, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Davis, Derek White, love Derek White, Wesley Matthews, and then obviously these players as well. With all of these players that's selected, for him to get 15% is a big margin. Like that is pretty impressive against who he's going against. So I just think that that's insane, especially with him being a rookie. And it says here, hold on. Let's see. Victor Wembanyama said last month that his friend and fellow Frenchman Rudy Gobert will be a worthy winner for the 2023. Yeah. We hear all that. But it says here, Wembanyama led the league in blocks, averaging 3.58 per game. His next closest competitor was Walker Kessler with 2.41. Insane. He just makes it so hard to finish at the rim, one opponent said of Wemby. Another player said he's changing the game. Players, you can't say scared, but he's changing their shots. He deserves it. And yeah, obviously. And then they show this 3v1, which we went over this before, in which you can see this is crazy. This Grizzlies clip in which they all just said, nope. Crazy. Absolutely insane that this is one man. And they did not want to even try. And the crazy thing about it is some people will say, well, why didn't he just, pass it out here immediately? Wemby can make that. He's so fast. He's so lanky. He can make that. I don't know. He's just ridiculous. He's a freak of nature. I won't harp on it. We all know this already. So they say here, so we can look at it. We can look at a few voters or what some voters said about Wemby, Holiday, and then Lou Dort. So they said here for Wembanyama, he really affects everything in the paint. He has dudes not even trying to go to the rim. He dang near leads the league in blocks right now, and this is his first year. he's doing it in limited time too. And then Holiday Voter said, I think guard defenders are more impressive because they're on the ball all the time. As a big man, you can make up mistakes by helping off your man, so it's easier. Protecting the paint is somewhat easier than staying in front of the ball. That's a fine, but at that point, I don't know. I feel like this person's reasoning would just mean no big man can ever win it. So you would just always go with a guard who, has to play in front of the ball all the time. I don't agree with that so much, because even Wemby, I mean, he affects the game on the perimeter as well. Like, you have to make decisions, and everyone knows that you have least effective shots, or least efficient shots, the further you get away from the rim. And if he's forcing you to do that, then that's a skill in and of itself, and he doesn't necessarily have to be in front of the ball handler to do that. I don't really agree with that, but I understand. Lou Dort, yes, he guards multiple positions. I like that. Is a physical defender, guards without fouling. Even when at the beginning of the season, when the referees were calling fouls, now it helps him even more because they're not calling fouls. So obviously all great defenders, but yeah, most NBA players, and Wemby has went against the league now, they have seen him firsthand and say, yeah, this dude is legit. This is kind of ridiculous. He's the best defender in the NBA by far. Now, what this tells me is we all knew this. NBA players know this. It was kind of even weird when we were looking at what your boy Draymond Green had to say about Wemby, and initially he was like, no, he shouldn't win it because the most winningest team should get defensive player. Very strange behavior, but he even went back on it. As a fan, I think it's pretty obvious that he's the best defender in the NBA. Like, my biases aside, even if he didn't play for the Spurs and I just watched the Spurs go against Wemby, I would have saw it. Like, I think that people, they just see it. Like, fans see it, players see it. It's pretty obvious. But as far as will he win or not, I don't think so. I mean, from what we've seen, there's been so many media heads that's going against Victor Wembanyama. That's absolutely silly, ridiculous, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't really get it. But if they want to go off of, one of the better defensive teams in the NBA, sure, whatever. But it's still silly because when Victor Wembanyama's on the court, we're one of the best defenders defensive teams in the league. It's just one of those strange things where it's like we're rewarding something. Like, I don't know. I know people will say, like, you're rewarding Rudy Gobert, you're not punishing Victor Wembanyama, but I think you're definitely punishing Victor Wembanyama for things that are out of his control, and you're also giving it to someone that does not deserve it over Victor Wembanyama. Rudy Gobert is a great defender, don't get me wrong, but we're talking best defensive player of the year. Wemby is the best defensive player of the year. Period. Like, he's the best defensive player in the NBA, and he's the one that deserves it, but you're going to punish him and give it to someone else that don't deserve it because he's on a better team. That's a problem for me. And like I said before, the MVP is a little different for me, only because usually an MVP isn't created until like a few years into their career. Like, it takes some time. It's not like an MVP is just automatically it's not like an MVP is just they can be an MVP rookie year or second year. Usually that's not the case. They're just not good enough. So I know some people have said, well, who's the most winningest team? They should be MVP. But MVPs are usually in the playoffs anyways, only because it's been some years. The team has been built around them. They've gotten better, and now they're near their prime. And obviously all those things connected, they're going to be on somewhat of a winning team. So yeah, I mean, MVP, that's self-explanatory. Is why like winning is usually equated with the MVP. But defensive player of the year, I don't know. That's a very specific specialty. And when you're on a bad team, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Now, if it was one of those things where Victor's getting blocks, but then you look at the margin between when he's on versus off the court and it's not that big a deal, then I would understand. I would like, yeah, he's getting blocks, but what else is he doing? But he's affecting everything. It's ridiculous. And when he's on the court, we're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. So I don't know. I don't know. And we have no defenders on this team. Like, we have Devin, who's a decent defender, right? I wouldn't call him a lockdown. We have Jeremy Sohan, who's an excellent defender. Is that about it? Julian Champagne's a decent defender. That's kind of it, right? Like, we don't really have anybody. So anyways, I'm sorry, I babble on for way too long with this one. But just wanted to bring this to your attention. Victor Wembanyama, as far as players, they agree with us. Okay, they agree with us. Anyways, get with you guys later. Till next time, man. Bye.